I still remember the smell of antiseptic in that hospital room, the hum of machines, the way my father's chest rose and fell, shallow, fragile, as if life itself was holding its breath. My name is Emma Hale. I'm the kind of person who believes family is everything. I've lived by that rule all my life. Maybe that's where I went wrong. When the doctor told me Dad needed surgery, an urgent one, I didn't think twice. I had some savings, barely enough to cover rent and bills, but none of that mattered. He was my father. I couldn't lose him. My brother, Lucas, didn't even show up. He texted me once, "Sorry, busy with work." I didn't have the strength to be angry then. I told myself, at least one of us is here for Dad. The surgery cost $20,000. I sold my car, drained my savings, even borrowed from a friend. When I handed the cashier that final payment, my hands were trembling. Not from regret, but relief. Dad would live. The next morning, when he opened his eyes, weak but alive, I smiled through tears. "You're okay, Dad. You're going to be okay." He squeezed my hand and whispered, "You're my angel, Emma. I'll never forget what you did." Those words, they meant everything. I held on to them like a promise. For the next few weeks, I visited every day after work. I helped him walk, cooked for him, cleaned the house, made sure his meds were on time. Lucas stopped by twice, just long enough to take selfies and post them online with captions like, "Family first." But I didn't care. I wasn't doing it for recognition. I was doing it because I loved my dad. One evening, while I was folding laundry, Dad looked up and said, "You know, Emma, I've been thinking. I want to make sure you and Lucas are both taken care of when I'm gone." I smiled softly. "Dad, please, don't talk like that. You're getting stronger every day." But he insisted. "No, honey, it's time I make things right." I didn't know that those words would soon break my heart. 2 months later, Dad came home from a meeting with his lawyer. He seemed distant. I asked if everything was okay, but he just nodded. "Just legal stuff, sweetheart. Nothing to worry about." That night, I caught Lucas smirking as he left Dad's room. When I asked what was going on, he shrugged and said, "Guess Dad finally realized who the real heir is." I laughed it off, thought he was joking, but a knot of unease twisted inside me. I didn't know it yet, but the truth was already written on paper. The next week, Dad called us both to the living room. His tone was calm, almost formal. He said, "I've made some decisions about the house and everything I own." My heart beat faster, not because I wanted anything, but because I suddenly realized how fragile love can become when money enters the room. Dad continued, "I've decided to transfer the house into Lucas's name. He's the oldest and, well, I trust him to look after things." I froze. For a moment, I thought I misheard him. I blinked, then whispered, "Dad, the house? You mean the house you live in?" He nodded. "Yes, honey. You'll always have a place here. Lucas just needs stability right now. He'll take care of it." My lips trembled. "But I paid for your surgery. You said—" He cut me off gently. "I know, Emma, and I'll never forget that. But this isn't about money. It's about family unity." Family unity. Those words echoed in my chest like a cruel joke. Lucas smiled, that smug, satisfied smile that told me everything I needed to know. And that was the moment I realized love doesn't always mean fairness. My heart broke, quietly, invisibly, as Dad kept talking about keeping peace and doing what's right. I wanted to scream, to remind him of the nights I stayed by his bedside, the bills I paid, the tears I shed. But instead, I just whispered, "Okay, Dad, whatever makes you happy." Inside, though, something in me changed forever. That night, I couldn't sleep. The walls of my room felt smaller somehow, as if the house itself was pushing me out. Every corner held memories, birthdays, laughter, the smell of Mom's cooking. But now it all felt borrowed, like I was a guest in my own home. I kept replaying Dad's words in my head. This isn't about money, it's about family unity. Unity! The irony was almost cruel. Lucas started acting differently. He began calling the place his house. He moved furniture, replaced the curtains Mom had chosen, even parked his new truck right where Dad used to sit and drink his morning coffee. I wanted to speak up, to tell Dad that things didn't feel right, but every time I opened my mouth, he'd just sigh and say, "Emma, please don't start. Lucas needs this. You're stronger. You'll understand." Stronger. That word burned. Being strong had become my curse, the reason people thought I could endure anything. But strength isn't immunity to pain. It just hides it better. Weeks passed. I paid the bills, like always, cooked, cleaned, helped Dad with his medication. Lucas didn't lift a finger. One evening, I came home from work to find Lucas sitting at the table with Dad. Papers were spread out before them. "What's this?" I asked, my voice shaky. Lucas looked up casually. "Just some mortgage stuff. Don't worry, sis. My house is in good hands." Dad chuckled softly. "He's just making sure the paperwork's all in order." "Your house?" I repeated, the words slicing through my throat. "Emma, please, not now," he interrupted. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. I realized then, love can blind you, but betrayal teaches you to see. Later that night, Lucas caught me in the hallway. "You know, sis," he said, leaning against the doorframe, "you really should start looking for your own place. It's awkward having two owners under one roof." I stared at him in disbelief. "I paid for Dad's life, Lucas. You think I'm leaving?" He smirked. "You didn't pay for his house, did you?" I wanted to slap that grin off his face, but instead, I just walked away. Because anger wouldn't fix this, and I wasn't about to let him see me break. In my room, I sat on the bed, staring at the box where I kept all the hospital receipts. Proof of every dollar, every sacrifice. I whispered to myself, one day they'll understand. But deep down, I knew they never would. Days later, a real estate agent showed up at the door. "I'm here to take photos for the listing," she said politely. My heart dropped. "Listing? What listing?" She blinked. "Lucas Hale's property. He said it's going on the market next week." I felt my knees weaken. I turned toward Dad's room, anger boiling in my chest. "Dad!" I shouted. "Are you selling the house?" He looked startled, then confused. "What? No, that's ridiculous." I pointed toward the woman in the hallway. "She's here for photos. Lucas told her it's his property." Dad's face drained of color. "Lucas!" he yelled, his voice trembling. "What is this?" Lucas walked in, completely calm. "Relax, Dad. It's just a listing. We'll move somewhere smaller. Use the money wisely." "Without asking me?" Dad snapped. Lucas shrugged. "You already signed it over. It's mine now." The silence that followed was deafening. Dad's hands shook. He looked at me, really looked at me, and for the first time, I saw guilt in his eyes. I didn't say a word, because sometimes silence speaks louder than heartbreak. That night, I packed my things, not because they kicked me out, but because I couldn't breathe there anymore. As I walked out the front door, I touched the old wooden frame, whispering, "I saved you, Dad, but I couldn't save us." To be continued. The day I left that house, it didn't feel like leaving a home. It felt like leaving a version of myself that still believed love was enough. I moved into a small apartment across town. It wasn't much, a one-bedroom with flickering lights and creaky floors, but it was mine. And for the first time in months, I could finally breathe. Every night after work, I'd sit by the window, sipping tea and staring at the city lights. Somewhere between exhaustion and heartbreak, I found a strange kind of peace. But peace doesn't erase pain. It just makes it quieter. A few weeks passed before Dad called. His voice sounded smaller, older somehow. "Emma, I miss you, sweetheart." My heart clenched. I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't. "I miss you too, Dad," I said softly. There was a pause. Then he sighed. "Things with Lucas aren't going well. He's been distant. He keeps talking about moving the house again. I don't know what to do." I closed my eyes, biting my lip. "You trusted him, Dad. Now you have to deal with what comes with that trust." He didn't reply for a long moment. Then, quietly, "I made a mistake, didn't I?" I didn't say yes. He already knew. A few days later, I got a message from a neighbor. "Emma, your brother's selling your dad's furniture. You might want to come check on him." My heart sunk. I drove back that evening, and what I saw made my stomach twist. Strangers walking through the living room, inspecting things like they were at a yard sale. I pushed through the crowd, calling out, "Dad, where are you?" He was sitting in his chair, pale and shaking. "Lucas said we needed money for bills," he murmured. I turned to Lucas, fury boiling in my veins. "Bills? You're selling his life piece by piece." He smirked. "Relax, Emma. It's just stuff. You wouldn't understand. You've got nothing to lose." I stepped closer, trembling. "I lost everything the moment you two made that deal." For a second, I thought he might laugh, but Dad spoke first. His voice cracked, but sharp. "Enough, Lucas." The room went silent. "You told me you'd take care of this house," Dad said, his eyes glassy with regret. "You promised, and I believed you. But I was wrong." He scoffed. "Come on, Dad. You gave it to me. I can do what I want." "No," Dad said firmly, standing on shaking legs. "Not anymore." I could hear his breath tremble. He turned toward me. "Emma, call the lawyer. I need to fix this." My hands covered my mouth. "Are you sure?" He nodded. I should have listened to my heart instead of my guilt. That night, he signed papers to revoke the transfer. Lucas stormed out, slamming the door behind him, his truck roaring away into the dark. When it was done, Dad sat quietly for a long time. "I don't deserve your forgiveness," he whispered. I took his hand gently. "I didn't do it for forgiveness, Dad. I just wanted you to be okay." He looked at me, eyes full of shame and love all at once. "You were always the strong one, Emma. I just wish I hadn't realized it so late." That night, I made him dinner. We didn't talk much, but sometimes silence can heal what words never could. A week later, Lucas left town. No calls, no messages, just gone. And maybe that was for the best. I started visiting Dad again, not because I felt obligated, but because I wanted to. Things weren't perfect, but they were honest now. I still had to rebuild my savings, still had scars that no one could see, but I wasn't broken anymore. Because I learned something important. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone else off the hook. It's about freeing yourself from the weight they left on your heart. And as I watched the sunset over the old house one last time, I whispered, "You were worth saving, Dad, but so was I." The end.